The Last Valentine by Clownmask. Part 1. The Message. It was the night before Valentine's Day, and Jessica, a seasoned social media strategist at Vivid Media, was wrapping up a month's worth of work. The campaign, The Ultimate Love Story, was set to launch at midnight, and everything had to be perfect. Her desk, cluttered with empty coffee cups and papers filled with last-minute notes, was bathed in the soft glow of her computer screen. It had been a long few weeks of sleepless nights, emails, meetings, and endless tweaks. This campaign was a huge deal for the agency. The images had been carefully curated, the caption crafted to tug at heartstrings, and the influencers lined up to share it across their platforms. The concept was simple but timeless: love, fate, destiny. It was supposed to be the perfect Valentine's Day post, a heartwarming story of two people destined to find each other, no matter the odds. Jessica clicked open the final post draft. The image was breathtaking. A couple walking hand in hand under the soft glow of a street lamp, their shadows stretching long across the pavement. The caption was a declaration of love, meant to evoke that longing we all feel, especially on Valentine's Day. True love is always waiting, no matter where you go. It finds you. It always finds you. Satisfied, Jessica made one last review of the campaign, making sure everything was scheduled to go live at 12 a.m., the perfect time to catch people scrolling on their phones. She pressed schedule, watching as the post was confirmed to go live on time. Then, without warning, her computer screen flickered. She frowned, staring at the blank screen for a moment. It must have been a glitch. But then another notification popped up in the corner of her screen, and her stomach dropped. It was an email. The subject line read, "You." She clicked it, heart pounding. The sender was unknown, and the message was chillingly simple. "I know who you are, Jessica. I've been watching you." Her fingers trembled as she read the message. It didn't make sense. She'd never met anyone who would send something like this. Someone who knew her name. She glanced around the office, feeling the sudden weight of being alone in the dark. She quickly checked the sender's profile. Empty. No bio, no name, just a blank profile picture. But there was a post, the only post from the account. The image was unmistakable. It was the same image she had just scheduled for the campaign, the couple under the streetlight. But something was wrong. The couple was gone. Instead, the photo was of a lone woman standing under the street lamp, her face blurred, her posture stiff and unnatural, as though someone had snapped the photo without her knowing. Her body language was all wrong. Tense, almost fearful. And then Jessica saw it. The shadow, it wasn't just the shadows cast by the street lamp. There was something else, something darker. The figure of a man standing just behind her. The outline was faint, barely visible, but it was there, creeping in the background. Jessica's heart skipped a beat. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from her friend, Natalie, who worked at another agency across town. Natalie. "Hey Jess, I just saw the campaign preview. It's beautiful, but the image, it's kind of creepy, right?" Jessica stared at the image on her screen again, trying to push aside the cold feeling settling in her chest. "Jessica, yeah, it's fine. Just some late-night editing. Nothing to worry about." But as she typed, her phone buzzed again, a new message coming through from the same unknown number. "I see you." Her pulse quickened. It couldn't be a coincidence. Someone was watching her. Someone knew exactly what she was doing. She shut down her laptop, trying to calm her nerves. It's just a prank, she told herself. Some creepy person trying to get a reaction. But even as she thought that, she felt a strange chill in the room. The silence seemed heavier now, oppressive. She glanced nervously at the empty office, at the dark hallway beyond her cubicle. It was just her and the hum of the fluorescent lights. Then her phone buzzed again. Another text. "I'm closer than you think." Her skin crawled. She grabbed her coat and quickly left the office, trying to shake off the creeping sense of dread. The building's hallway was dark and deserted, and as she walked to the exit, her footsteps echoed too loudly in the emptiness. The cold night air hit her as she stepped outside. The streets were quiet, the kind of quiet that felt unnatural for a city. Every noise felt amplified. The rustle of leaves, the distant hum of traffic, her own footsteps tapping on the pavement. And then, her phone buzzed again. "You can run, Jessica, but you'll never escape me." She froze mid-step. Her eyes darted around, but the street was empty. The streetlights above her flickered, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. She felt as if something, or someone, was just out of sight, waiting. She turned and started walking faster, her breath coming in shallow gasps. Her phone buzzed one last time, but this time it wasn't a text. It was a FaceTime call. The screen lit up with the name of the unknown number. Her fingers hovered over the decline button, but for some reason, she couldn't bring herself to ignore it. She answered the call. There was no voice, only her own face staring back at her on the screen. But the image was wrong. She wasn't in her office anymore. She was standing under a street lamp in the middle of the dark, empty street. It was the same image from the campaign, only now it was live. The woman in the photo was her. The street lamp flickered in the background, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out toward her. The phone's camera was showing her in real time. And then came the voice, a whisper so soft that it sent shivers down her spine. "I've been watching you, Jessica. I know everything." The image on the screen flickered again, this time turning her face into a distortion. Her eyes were dark, her mouth twisted into a grin she didn't recognize. The image zoomed in, showing her face in full detail, but the eyes, those eyes, were wrong. They were dark, empty, hollow. The phone call ended abruptly. Her heart raced as she checked her surroundings again. "This is crazy. It's just a glitch. Someone's hacking into my phone. It's just some sick prank." But when she checked the time, she saw that it was already past midnight. The campaign post had gone live. Part 2. The Chase. The next morning, Jessica logged into her social media management tool. She was still shaken by the call, but work had to come first. The campaign had launched, and the metrics were already coming in. The post was going viral, thousands of likes, hundreds of shares. The comments were pouring in, but one by one, Jessica's smile faded as she read them. "I see you, Jessica. You can't hide. I'm closer than you think. You're not alone." The comments grew more unnerving by the minute, all from anonymous accounts. Then, one comment stood out. "I saw her too. She's out there, and I'm watching you." Jessica's heart skipped a beat. She quickly scrolled through the comments, but there were so many more now, filling the entire feed. Some users claimed to have seen her under the streetlight, the woman in the photo, the one who looked just like her. The comments grew more specific. "I saw you on Maple Street, Jessica, last night. I know where you live. I know where you're going." Jessica felt the walls close in. The campaign had only been live for a few hours, but already people were claiming to have seen her, the woman from the photo, the one who looked just like Jessica. Panic surged through her. She checked her phone again, but this time it wasn't a message from the unknown number. It was something worse. It was a new image. Same street lamp, the same silhouette. But this time, the woman's face was clear, it was her, and she was smiling. The phone buzzed with a new text. "You'll never escape. I've always been here." The next day, Jessica was gone. The office was filled with confusion. No one knew where she went, but her belongings were still at her desk. Her phone, her coat, her computer. The campaign post continued to gather attention, the comments flooding in, and every year on Valentine's Day, the post would resurface. People would comment saying they had seen her. They had seen Jessica under the street lamp in the shadows. The post became a viral phenomenon, a legend, a haunting, and every year it would be shared again. People claimed to have seen her walking in the streets in their own towns under street lamps, just like the photo. The woman in the photo always looking over her shoulder and smiling. Part 3, The Return. And the strange incident involving Jessica seemed to fade into the background. The viral Valentine's Day campaign had been marked as one of the agency's greatest successes, but also one of its most unsettling. Her disappearance was never fully explained, and the buzz around the campaign faded as the world moved on to the next big trend. However, the post, The Ultimate Love Story, kept popping up on social media feeds, especially around Valentine's Day. It had become an urban legend, a legend that still seemed to haunt the dark corners of the internet. It wasn't just about the post anymore. It was about her, the woman in the streetlight, the one whose haunting smile haunted millions. Over time, people began sharing their own experiences, accounts of seeing her in their own cities. People swore they saw her walking under street lamps, always at dusk, always at midnight. The shadowy figure, the same figure from the post. Always watching, always waiting. And every year, the comments under the post grew more personal. I saw her too. I think she's following me. I dreamt about her last night. She said she knew me. She called me by name. I live on Maple Street, the same place Jessica disappeared. I swear I saw her there last week. Standing by the lamppost, she was looking right at me. It wasn't just the comments that were unsettling. The image, the one of Jessica standing beneath the street lamp, had started changing. The longer it stayed online, the more distorted it became. At first, it was just a slight flicker, a shadow in the corner of the image. Then the woman's face became clearer, too clear. And she wasn't smiling anymore. Her eyes were dark, hollow, like someone or something was watching from within them. The caption, too, had started changing. People claimed they saw different versions. True love is patient, it waits, it always finds you, no matter how far you run. Love is a trap, it watches, it waits, and it will never let you go. Now, the most disturbing thing was the notifications. Users who interacted with the post would receive strange messages, direct messages, from unknown accounts. It didn't matter how many times they blocked the sender, the messages would come through again and again. I'm coming. You won't be able to stop me. I know you're scared. You should be. You can't hide from me. The company tried to ignore it, but the media couldn't. News outlets picked up on the phenomenon. The missing social media strategist. Is the Ultimate Love Story campaign cursed? They interviewed people who had interacted with the campaign post, all of whom shared eerily similar stories. But it didn't stop there. Part 4, The Call. It was a year after Jessica's disappearance when the first report came through. A new employee at Vivid Media, a young social media intern named Katie, had been working late one evening, just like Jessica had, preparing a fresh Valentine's Day campaign for the following year. She had heard the rumors about the Ultimate Love Story post, but she didn't pay much attention. It was just a story. Until she made a fateful mistake. Katie had found an old folder on the agency's cloud storage, a folder titled Campaigns Jessica. She opened it, curious, thinking it might hold drafts of past work or ideas for new campaigns, but instead it was filled with images. Only one stood out. The same image of the couple under the street lamp, but in a high-res format she'd never seen before. Curious, she clicked on it. As soon as the image loaded, her phone buzzed. The notification was from her own social media account. I see you, Katie. I've been watching you. Katie froze, her blood running cold. She quickly closed the image, but it wouldn't go away. Another notification appeared. You should have left it alone. Now you'll never leave. She tried to dismiss the messages, but her phone wouldn't cooperate. It kept freezing, glitching, until finally it went black. Panic seized her as she stood up, looking around the empty office. The building was quiet. Too quiet. Her fingers shook as she tried to turn the phone back on, but nothing worked. Then there was a sound. A click. The lights above her flickered and then went out completely. The entire office plunged into darkness. Her breath hitched. She wasn't alone. Katie stepped back toward the door, heart hammering in her chest. She was certain someone was standing behind her, watching her, just as Jessica had been on that night. She could feel it in her bones. A whisper pierced the silence. "I told you, you should have left it alone." Katie spun around, but there was no one there. The lights flickered back on. She rushed to the door and found it locked. She rattled the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Her phone finally powered on again, but when she looked at it, the screen was full of messages, not from anyone she knew, but from an unknown account. The same account that had messaged, "Jessica. You can't run. I've been waiting. Just like I waited for Jessica." Katie's heart stopped. She immediately tried to block the account, but the name was still there. The image, the shadow, the face of the woman beneath the street lamp. And then there was a new message. "You'll never escape. I'll always find you." Katie's hands shook as she stared at the message. The phone screen flickered and the image changed. It was no longer just a picture of the woman under the street lamp. The face was clear. Too clear. It was her. Katie's own face, twisted in terror, standing under the lamppost. Behind her, the shadow of the man was now unmistakable, creeping toward her. The phone buzzed one last time. "I've been here all along. You can't run from me. I'll always find you." Part 5. The Reflection. 2 days later, Katie was found, just like Jessica had been. Missing. Gone. Her desk was empty, but her phone was left behind. The screen was shattered, and the only thing visible through the cracked glass was the same image, the distorted photo of the woman under the street lamp. The campaign, now infamous, continued to haunt Vivid Media. Every Valentine's Day, the post would reappear, gaining new attention, new comments. But the truth was becoming clear. It wasn't just a post. It wasn't just an image. It was something darker, something more dangerous, and with every passing year, the number of people who vanished grew. The ones who interacted with the post, the ones who noticed the strange comments, the ones who, like Jessica and Katie, thought they could ignore it. But there was no escaping it. The figure. The woman. The shadow. Love, it seemed, wasn't what was waiting. It was death, and it would always find you. The end.